Hey there, I'm Terrie, and I'm the intuitive healer for folks who have anxiety and want to access their soul evolution and intuition. There's more than meets the eye here as we chat and hang out in these episodes that have spiritual, esoteric, multidimensional, somatic, quantum techniques, tools, and tips to help you get unstuck and move you forward in your day-to-day life. So join me in discovering your path to help you clear anxiety of the past, align your energy to the present, and create your new future. Well, hello, and how is your heart? How's that wonderful, beautiful, dynamic heart of yours? I hope it's well. I actually hope it's doing better than my heart. It's been a while since I've posted a podcast for several reasons. Mostly the reason is because I have been going through a personal hell myself. No, let me rephrase that. That's just my humanity talking. Oh boy. I have been in evolution. As a matter of fact, I made a choice and a decision that when people ask me how I am doing, I'm going to say that I'm evolving, because there are different levels of truth as to what is going on, not just in my life, but in everybody's life. Like, the period of ascension that we're in seems to be getting more and more challenging. And I'm pretty sure it's to force us to just move and to not stay the same. And that is not an easy feat for any human. I don't care how spiritual you are. I don't care how many energy hacks you know, or how many, conversations you channel with ETs. It doesn't matter. In this now moment, you and I are both in earth suits. So we are bound by earthly ways, and earth is going through change, and so it's going to affect us. And you'll have to forgive my hacking and coughing and snorting and all of that stuff. Let me go back a bit. And the only reason why I'm just sharing this information with you is because when I'm working with my clients, they are often thanking me for sharing personal experiences of what I go through, because they're able to see themselves in me. And that makes sense because of the law of one, right? I am you and you are me. But a lot of times when I share my stories, my good experiences or bad experiences, however I or you will judge those, people find resonance in it, and so they can apply lessons to themselves. So that is a huge reason why I share so much about my trials and tribulations and my wins and joys. I'm here to be of service, and however I can help you, that's what I want to do. So back in whatever. I'm not even going to judge myself grammatically. I'm definitely to the point where I'm like, F this, screw this. And evolving more to the point where I don't care what other people think. But there's still more work to be done in that area. Back on Thanksgiving of 2024, I was, what's the word? Like, I was going to say jousted, but I wasn't joust. There was no horse and joust in my room. Jostled. I think the word is jostled. Jousted, Terrie? Really? Jousted? Okay, great. Jostled violently out of bed at 4:10 a.m. Well, it was a little bit earlier than 4:10 a.m., but all the fire incident reports say 4:10 a.m. Anyways, so jostled violently out of bed. Now, I sleep with meditations going all night long for my subconscious mind to pick up messages so that I can help myself while I sleep, help rewire my brain. So I'm usually in a deep sleep, but sometimes like in deeper than normal, just because I listen to meditations. Anyways, listen to the meditations. So I hear this, I wake up because I thought I heard something, turn off the meditation, and then I hear like a man and a woman screaming in the courtyard of my apartment building. And I was like, what the, what? Huh? So I go out, I open the door, and I don't recognize anybody, but there's a woman going around banging on everybody's door. Get out of the building, get out of the building. And a guy who I also don't recognize is running around, get out of the building. And I'm hearing what I thought were gunshots. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, I'm Jewish. I come from a Holocaust surviving family, and with all the anti Semitism that is going around these days, whether you believe it or not, as a Jew, you know it, you feel it, you sense it, you see it. My initial thought slash feeling slash inclination was that somebody, I don't know, a terror group or I don't know, whatever, was drawing tenants out of their apartments and shooting them. Dark, yes, but that's part of the ancestral DNA that my lineage has. And I have family in Israel, so they're going through their own thing. And I know that this could be a political topic, but I'm not sharing this for you based on politics. I'm sharing this based on you, for you, based on personal experience of what was going on in my mind. So I close the door, lock everything up, grab my dog, and I go into the bathtub, into the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm not running out to my death. My death is just going to have to come and shoot me, you know? That's where my head was. So I don't even know, excuse me, I don't even know how long I was in the bathroom. But of course, you know, like I'm on high alert. I'm shaking. The adrenaline in my body is like going crazy. My poor dog is like, what the hell is going on? So, um, I don't know how much longer it was afterwards. I heard somebody banging on my door, and it was a man, and he yelled, "Get out of the building. It's on fire." So that's a whole other story, right? So now I'm being given information that there's actually a fire in the building, and those gunshots that I thought I heard were actually the tires popping in the carport. So all of the cars that were in the carport were exploding. Well, the cars weren't exploding. Were the cars exploding? No, the cars weren't exploding. They were just on fire. The tires were popping. Someone had set fire to a car. And so it was an arson. And so it started in the back of the building. My apartment where I live is in the front of the building. And so now I have information. I open the door and I see people like running askew, you know, like chaotic in the courtyard. I'm like, oh boy. So grab the dog, grabbed my and you have to understand something. As somebody who is who has tendencies of having more anxiety energy in their body than maybe a regular person, I have played out scenarios in my head of what would I grab in these last moments, like if you had to just flee. Again, I come from a family, a little bit more of a background. So on my mom's side of the family, my great great grandfather, I think it was, saw what was happening in Poland when Hitler came into power and said, "Get out." So some of my family members got out, and the only place that would accept them at that time was Cuba. They tried to come to the US, but they couldn't, so they went to Cuba. So this is my mom's side of the family. And so they went to Cuba. And then when Castro came into power, they're like, we're getting out. So on my mom's side of the family, I have lots of family members. My grandmother had to flee two countries and finally made it to the US. Okay. And when they left, it was really bad in Cuba. And they literally, like, and my mom had gone too. Like, my mom was born at that time. So they like picked up, they had like a shoe factory. They were actually very well off. Came here, poor, broke, the whole thing. Came here with just like a suitcase of clothes and all of that, right? Mom's side of the family. So on that side of the family, there's the dynamic, the energetic imprint of running and fleeing and escaping, right? On my dad's side of the family, um, my grandparents were put into camps and they were liberated by the Russians. And then they went to Israel and then they went back to Germany and then came to the US, but they were also from Poland. So there's on my dad's side. So there's a lot of ancestral DNA of having to escape, flee your country, run, try and survive, right? So that's already in my DNA. And then with the political unrest of what's going on today, there's just a lot that is going on if you're Jewish. So back to the story. Once I realized what happened, grab the dog. I had already had the scenario in my head. What would I grab? Grab the necessary things and just went outside into the front of the building on the main street and was just watching the flames and everything. And it was terrifying. It was very scary. Now, once I realized there was a fire, I've had this huge, huge, ginormous like wave of relief and peace come over me because I thought I was going to die from being shot and killed, not from fire. So it was kind of like I wasn't that afraid of fire. I was more afraid of like now the sounds and stuff. So New Year's Eve was like horrible with all of the, firecrackers and all of that. And it was really rough. Like now sounds are really rough on me, even though it was fire that was the actual danger, but the energetic imprint that was left in me wasn't necessarily left. It was like activated, remember? Because these imprints stay in the body, right? Energy is physical and non-physical. So it lives in the body. And when you are growing up with stories of having to run and flee and escape and do all these things, and then in your current reality and situation, you have family members that are having to run into shelters and all of this stuff, and then there's a collective energy that's going on. Yeah, I in many ways I do feel I had a different experience than the other people in my building because of that, but I digress. So I thought I was going to die from being shot, which was not the case. And so I just felt huge relief and I was just like, well, if the building burns and all of my stuff burns, I have what I need. And I was just feeling so much gratitude. It was really weird to be feeling that much gratitude in the middle of a horrific, horrible, awful, terrible, traumatic event. Even just like talking about it, like my solar plexus is like, bleh. So, it's been an adventure. It's not even. It's just been really awful. I wish I could say that it's gotten better, but it really hasn't. And it left PTSD in me. And I am currently working that out. I am seeing a trauma therapist, and I am also doing a lot of energy work and spiritual work. And I have my clients and I have my family. So, I'm definitely working my way through it. I got to stay with my family, which was I'm so grateful for because they housed me and my dog, and it was a relatively easy experience. And then I got terribly sick. About 2 weeks later, I had terrible laryngitis where I actually lost my voice. I had sinusitis and I had bronchitis. And I still hadn't fully recovered from the bronchitis. And now I'm recording this in the midst of the LA inferno. Um, let's see, it's Friday. I think these terrible, horrible fires started. When did they start? Like 2 days ago or something like that. And we're constantly getting alerts and warnings and all of this stuff because, like, at any moment, the winds have been terribly bad and they have, they shift, they bring the embers over, and it's just I mean, it's like horrible. And then yesterday they sent out a false evacuation alarm. Excuse me. It was awful. It was awful. Oh my God. Freaked out because I still have residual PTSD from the first fire experience, even though it wasn't fire that I was necessarily afraid of how I was going to die. But still, it's like there's residual fire stuff because my car blew up, which I was really upset about. And I had to get a new car, which was not a pleasant experience. And everybody is saying, oh my God, at least you get a new car now. Isn't that exciting? And I'm like, no, I loved my car and I didn't need a new car. So this actually, it was a burden and not a blessing. And most people are like, yay, yay. And I'm like, no. So anyways, the fires are going on and the air quality here is horrible. And I still hadn't fully recovered from the the bronchitis. So it's hard to breathe over here. Um, anyways, that's been a lot of what's been going on for the past, well, that was at least since Thanksgiving. Um, I do my best to give myself grace, which I'm not very good at. I'm sure a lot of you guys aren't. If you have perfectionism issues, you're probably not very good at that either. It's okay. It's all part of the learning process. But for me, the healing comes from being with other people checking in on me, and working with my clients, because I get to redirect my energy for just however long I can do or will. Right? It's been very challenging to redirect energy. So what I want to share with you are just some ways of how I've been managing my spirituality when I'm experiencing traumatic residual experiences and energy. And even right now, like, I keep checking my phone to see if there's a fire update. Right now there aren't, but you that happens. Oh yeah, the first night, by the way, the first night of the big fires, which I think it was Wednesday night, at some point I woke up. I finally did fall asleep because I have my go bags already from the first fire, but this time around I'm like, let me prepare more for my dog. Let me get some medications this time. So now I have like even more stuff for my go bags, or I'm even more prepared than I was the first time. But I woke up at one point to pee, because that's what you do when you get older. You wake up a couple times a night to pee. So all you youngins out there, that's what you get to look forward to. And my dad was taken to the hospital because they thought he had a heart attack. Oh God. So now my dad's in the hospital. The city's an inferno. I'm still like trying to soothe my nervous system. And I'm like, oh my God, Terrie, you are being tested. Am I being tested, you guys? I am being tested. My money anxiety is totally and completely flared up. Fear of the future, it's just basically survival at this point, right? And when we do not feel safe, it's very difficult for us to have certain experiences, right? So spirituality is about being able to go with the flow, right? And in that go with the flow and keep moving forward, be as loving and kind as possible. In a nutshell, have the right perspective, be able to see things as they really are, not as the entangled part of us or the lower soul part of us or the egotistical part of our human, not making up stories, but looking at actual reality, moving forward in that actual reality, taking realistic steps, responses, behaviors, all of that stuff, and still practicing loving kindness. But when you are in survival mode, it is definitely hard for you to, for example, be generous. You don't want to share, right? It's about me, because I don't know when the next time I'm going to have A, B, and C, right? That's just one example. So when you are in a traumatic event or a traumatic experience, or you've had it and now you're working your way through it, it's really difficult to be, quote, spiritual, end quote. But it is a way of life, and it's something we should always be striving for anyways, because it does connect us to the divine. And when we can see that everything is divine, right? We like, all experiences are happening for our best interests. They're not happening to us. Whew. And that is not easy when you're in survival mode. It really is not. It's hard. It's difficult for me to see, okay, first of all, there's a silver lining to all of this. And second of all, I'm going to learn and evolve from this. And thirdly, like, this is a blessing. It's hard when you're in it, it's difficult to see beyond it, right? So really, spiritually, this is how I've been managing to stay as present as possible. It took me about a good month before I could meditate, because of course, meditation requires collection of your energy, right? Now, granted, the meditation that I do and the meditation that I teach is specifically geared towards people who can't sit still, they're fidgety, they have anxiety, so they're more active. But I couldn't even get to that point until I started to do a couple of things first. First, I had to actually move back into my apartment, which terrified me. It scared me, but I had to be there, sleep there, and survive that experience of just spending a night or two there. So it took me about a good week for me to go, okay, I can be in this apartment and not have to disassociate, because that's a lot of that's my coping, one of my coping skills, right? Disassociation. So that I could actually be here. And once that happened, I'm still working through it. Once that happened, it was okay. So that was a step. Is that a spiritual step? I mean, technically, yeah, because I was dealing with my humanity. Then I had to start talking to my apartment to build a relationship with it. I had to build a relationship so that I could feel safe in my apartment. That's still something that I'm working on. It's silly, I know, but come home from being out and about. Hey, apartment, I hope you had a good day. Hey, apartment, thank you for protecting Chelsea, my pup, and I. Hey, apartment, do you smell that? Hey, apartment, isn't this funny? Blah, blah, blah. Just like a normal human being, right? So building a relationship with an inanimate object, for me, that's what was working. Then I was finally able to settle down more, and then I could do the heart tapping, which is primarily what I teach, to open the heart, access the energy waves of the heart to neutralize anxiety. So once I was able to do that, then I could go into more of a meditation. The meditations I have a tendency to do are given by Grandmaster Chokok Sui, because I study Arhatic yoga. And so they tend to be more loving kindness meditations. And they are active, thankfully. I'm not sitting there, with my hand mudra trying to clear my thoughts, right? I don't have to do that. Active meditations don't do that, thank God. So then I was able to do that. New Year's Day, I attended an in-person meditation with Master Co, where he did this huge energy clearing, which cleared me, and I was sobbing and crying in a room of 100 people. I'm the only person sobbing and crying on New Year's Day, right? Is that embarrassing? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is. Everybody's excited for a brand new year. And I'm like, I don't even know what the next step of my life is going to be. So I'm like bawling because I'm cleaning and clearing out energy. That was kind of embarrassing, but it was like, whatever, this is my life experience and this is how it's going right now. This is my truth and this is my reality for the time being. And so I need to surrender and lean into it to get through it. So that's also what I've been doing is just sort of like, in many levels, pushing myself beyond that part of myself that's scared, just going, it's okay to go car shopping. Car shopping for me was really hard. And I would get heart palpitations and all, like now I have to make this really big decision. I have a lot of resentment. I don't want to be doing any of this. This whole experience just sucked. That part sucked. And it sucks right now because of the inferno that I'm living in. So, what else did I do? Heart tapping. Oh, then once I was able to sort of stabilize more into being able to think of other people and send them love, I started doing energy clearing work on myself. And I have been very mechanical about it. Like I'm doing the energy work and I'm like clearing, and it's like, okay, just keep doing it, trusting and believing and having faith that it's going to work, even if I'm not feeling or sensing something in this now moment. So, yeah, that's what's going on. Praying for my father, they're still doing tests and all that stuff. Praying for my family that we all have the courage and strength to continue to move forward. And for me, praying and for me to have clarity and for me to have, the courage and the strength to move forward, to keep going, to not feed into the fear. That's the really big thing, is that there's a life force to fear. And if we focus on it or we place our attention or awareness on it, we feed it a life force. So every time, no, not every time, but a lot of times when I can catch myself and I start having some sort of fearful thought, or my mind is going to something like, how am I going to pay my bills? And I got to buy this car and I got to do all this. And, like all of these things, I have to just stop and go, hey, 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 cut, right? So how you be spiritual in this, when you are triggered or when you're working through stuff, is sometimes it's just more systematic ritual and mechanic ritual that you do, right? So like before fire, I had a stable practice, spiritual practice. And then I had like nothing for like almost 2 months now. And so now I'm going back to the basics and I'm coming back and I'm not even getting mad at myself. I'm giving myself grace that I had to stop. But sometimes you have to go back to the basics, right? Sometimes you just have to start over. Sometimes you got to stop. But energy is about momentum, right? So if it stops, okay, fine. If you don't keep up with something, yeah, it's going to stop, but you got to just go back to the basics and start again. So I feel like in every area of my life, from my business to my mental health, to my emotional health, to my physical health, to everything, that I'm just going back to the basics and just kind of starting over, treating myself, treating these circumstances as, all right, I mean, I am white knuckling a lot, which means I'm not letting go, right? So it's a process of learning and trusting. And I feel like I'm starting all over again with that. Now, granted, my responses and behaviors have been completely different than they would have been in the past because of all of the work that I have done, my spiritual growth, my energetic growth, my mental health growth, right? My emotional growth. So at the same time, if you have to start over, you're never necessarily starting at the bottom again. You just have a new bottom, right? It's just like a new platform to jump off of. This is not easy. This season of my life, I got to tell you, it sucks. It sucks, but I am doing my best and I am trying. uh, it's very difficult to give myself grace. I'm struggling with that. Look, I'm being really transparent with you guys. Why? Why? Because I'm no different than you. I might be practicing things longer than you guys, whoever's listening, or if my clients, but I may, yeah, I may have been on TV or whatever, worked with influencers or whatever because I'm a really good psychic and a medium and healer and blah, blah, all this stuff. But that doesn't make me better or different than you. I'm wearing an earth suit just like you're wearing an earth suit, which means I am bound by the earthly ways just like you're bound by the earthly ways. And we each have different triggers and we each have different levels of truth and we each have just different experiences because that's what God needs is to experience itself from our personal perspective that nobody else can give it, right? Source, creator, God. So yeah, I mean, I keep going and I hope you keep going. I really hope you keep going. I don't know what situation you're in. Maybe you're in an awesome situation right now. And that would be my prayer and blessing for you is for you to be thriving right now, blessed with abundance and prosperity and success and good health and love and all the yummy, wonderful things, right? We all want that. And we all get that. The law of cycles and the law of change, you know, change, there is no the Buddhists believe in impermanence because of the law of cycles, the law of change, and of course the law of consequences, which is karma, right? Good or bad, whatever you plant seeds for, you're going to harvest. Yes. So it's the nature of energy to always be moving. And as I'm sharing this with you, I am reminding myself, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I don't know how long this season is going to last. Man, I hope it's a short season with only like 5 episodes, because I feel like I've already gone through 4.5 episodes. But we just got to keep going and nothing is permanent. So even the joy and the elation that we feel, that is also going to stop. So however we're going to judge a circumstance or experience that we're having right now as good or bad, it's not going to stay. It's going to move. And this year for 2025, I really, really feel that the theme, I kept getting the message of the theme is spiritual maturity. Now, how do you get more mature? You get more mature through experience and knowledge. That's what gets you wise. So this year, I think it's just going to be bumpy, just like it was last year and the year before. Well, some previous years may not have. And again, your own personal circumstances based on your, excuse me, based on your soul contracts and your karma, it's definitely going to be different. But you will have many, many opportunities. And I do feel like they are opportunities. Once we get through a hump and then we can look backwards, then we can understand, okay, now I know why I went through what I went through and I'm grateful that I did. It happens every single time. Go through all of the hard periods of your life and you will find that. You will find that, my friend. So if you're in a great area, a great time of your life right now, I'm so happy for you. I think that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. And if you're in a really crappy place in your life right now, just know you're definitely not alone. You are not alone, but this too shall pass, right? It's the nature of energy to always be moving. The law of cycles, there are cycles of seasons, right? There's the menstrual cycle, there's the moon, the cycle of the moon phases, right? There's also law of change. What do they say? The only thing that's permanent are death and taxes. Even death is questionable. If we have to like really be careful with our words. We would say for the human body, death is permanent, right? Okay, fine. Taxes, we're always going to be taxed. So I guess there is that. But when you're dead, you don't have to pay taxes, I guess. That's the little morbid part of me. I can be really morbid. Anyways, law of change, nothing stays the same. And then law of consequence, cause and effect. Whatever you do, there will be an action and reaction towards it. So hang in there if you're going through a hard time, because so am I. You're not alone. And if you're having a great time, I hope it lasts for a very, very long time. And may everybody who is watching this, may they be successful, prosperous. May they be generous, kind-hearted, loving, healthy. And may we be able to share those blessings with others and serve others the best that we can in whatever capacity we're able to. All right, you guys. So that is the latest update, latest podcast. Let me know if you guys want to hear some topics or something that we could talk about from a spiritual perspective. I'm not necessarily the best at coming up with ideas or topics. So if you guys want to, feel free to email me info@terriehuberman.com, or you can leave comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you are listening to this podcast somewhere else. I don't know. It's streamed many, many places. So let me know. We'll talk about it. And I will find out information if I don't know. I don't know everything. And the more I study and practice in spirituality, the less I actually know. So I'm okay with that. But I'll find the answers, or if there are no answers, I can give you guys something so that you guys can come up with your own answers, right? So that you can lead a life where you're feeling safe, comfortable, prosperous, successful, loving, healthy, all the yummy things. All right. So take care of that wonderful, beautiful heart of yours. I'll see you on the flip side. Well, our time in this now moment together has ended, but another now moment is on its way. Thank you so much for joining me in this human journey and listening to this podcast, The Portal with Terrie Huberman. I sure hope you're getting something out of it. I'm here to help you clear anxiety from the past, align your energy into the present, and help you create your future. My prayer for you is to find the peace and calmness in any given now moment, so you can recognize when blessings are afoot and you get to choose your next adventure. Be curious and stay connected. You can always find me at terriehuberman.com. Bye now.